Happy Wednesday. I'm glad to be back. I missed you all last week, or I guess 2 weeks ago. But welcome to Crew Talk, brought to you by Shoots.video. I'm Sarah, and we have Jade with us today. And we also have some special guests. We have David, who's here, and we're waiting on Eric. So hi, David. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, welcome. Good. How are you doing?
Terrific.
Great. And Jade, hello.
Hello.
We have not worked together before, but I'm excited to work together today.
Very excited.
So David is from the Independent Filmmakers Day, and I got that title correct, I hope. Did I get it? Awesome. Okay, cool. So we are going to jump into that shortly. But first, we're going to go over some housekeeping notes. So if you're new, or if you're not, welcome back. But if you have any questions during the webcast, you can throw them in the Q&A box, and we will get to them during the webcast. So throw them in there, and we'll get to those questions. And of course, we are giving away a $50 B&H gift card towards the end. So be listening in for that, because we'll ask our giveaway question probably in about 45 minutes. So be on the lookout for that. But I guess while we're waiting on Eric, David, we can jump in with an introduction from you if you want to kind of tell us who you are, where you are, and what you do.
Sure. So I live in Chicago, but originally from the East Coast, from North Jersey, right outside New York. And I am an entertainment lawyer and producer. And so what I do is I work with clients both on the legal side and the producing side of films, whether it's representing filmmakers or studios in legal capacity, or on the executive producing side, where I'll get involved in helping raising funding for films. I'll help with bringing people to the network or bring people to the team. We'll focus on monetization strategies like social media, foreign pre-sales, product integration opportunities. And, basically we leave the creative for the creative. I'm not interested in interfering in any way with that, but the goal is that it's sometimes hard to balance the creative and the business side of a film. So I'll come in as the legal and business arm on a film and assist and add value any way I can. Some of my recent credits include I helped raise funding for the film 1917, which won 3 Oscars. And I also helped raise funding for another film called Human Capital, which starred Marissa Tomei and Liev Schreiber, and it premiered on the red carpet at the Toronto Film Festival. And I'm currently working on about 20 different projects right now, all at various stages of development. So I love that part of the role. And what I saw is that while I was producing and assisting filmmakers on the legal side, the most common question I would get asked is, I've got an idea, I've got a screenplay, what do I do next? And so as a result of that, we created Independent Filmmaker Day, which is a conference on filmmaking. And the goal is to bring in speakers talking about practical advice out in the real world that people can't get from film school. You can't get from reading books. You can't get from reading online. You can only get from actual real life people who are in the trenches doing it themselves. And so we bring in speakers on a variety of different topics in film, everything ranging from financing and funding to foreign pre-sales, distribution, acting, directing, editing, law, insurance, all the different people that you need as part of your team to help make a film. And then what we also feature is a expert roundtables, which allows you to sit down with an expert in more of an intimate setting. So we limit it to about 15 attendees, and they have an opportunity to ask specific questions to the expert about their project. And then we also offer a pitch competition, which is really exciting. And we have about 40 people pitching. It's 3 minutes per pitch, and it's like a Shark Tank type format. And the winner receives over $40,000 of in-kind services to help make their film or TV project.
Wow. So that's really impressive. And it sounds like you are super busy.
Yes, I'm juggling a lot of hats, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And I believe Eric may have just joined us. And if he did, Eric, you may be on mute. I understand you are joining us via phone, but if you could unmute yourself, we would love to hear from you. David just gave us the whole scoop on Independent Filmmakers Day. And so I would love to hear from you if you can unmute. If not, we will just keep talking to David. But while Eric is figuring that out, so how long has this been going on? How long has this been your baby?
So we started the event in 2009, and we originally were having our events in person alongside major film festivals like Cannes or Sundance. But now that we're living in a COVID world, we had to pivot. And so our last few events have been virtual. So we had a virtual event in June and November, which were very successful. And our next event is coming up March 24th and 25th, all on Zoom. So wherever you are in the world, you're able to participate.
And I did see that on your website. I was looking at that before we started. So you've worked with multiple film festivals. How do you think the virtual Independent Filmmaker Day will go? And are there pros and cons to hosting it online?
Well, sure. I mean, it's impossible to recreate the excitement in the room. Especially, during the pitch competition, it gets really fun. You're hearing, different people's pitches. Some of them are amazing. Some of them are awful. But that's part of the fun, right? That's the part of the excitement of hearing everybody's idea. And it's so creative, and it's very supportive. It's a very safe space. So people really feel the opportunity to kind of put themselves out there, but they're getting great feedback that they wouldn't normally get. And so it's really just a different type of learning experience. And so doing it in person, has always been really fun. But doing it virtual, has its benefits too, because we're able to get better panelists than we are usually, because it doesn't have to be in Sundance at that moment and that moment in time. We can get panelists from all over the country, and so that's what we've got going on. So in the last couple of virtual events, we had people like Richard Dreyfuss, the Oscar winner, Jason Alexander from Seinfeld, Tony Shalhoub, who won an Emmy for Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, Ice-T.
Oh, wow.
We had Graham King, who was the producer for Bohemian Rhapsody and The Departed, and a whole host of other, named celebrities and guests. So, it's a great opportunity for that. And then the other great thing about virtual is you don't have to be in Sundance or Cannes at the moment. So, we've had panel attendees from all over the country. Even internationally, we had people as far as Finland and Australia who are logging in and listening for the advice. So it's really an opportunity to expand our reach, and you can, jump on with us wherever you are in the world.
You can wear your pajamas, which is the best part about doing anything over Zoom.
That's right. Exactly right. You don't have to leave the house.
Exactly. You just have to look cute from here up.
Right.
Very cool. So how do you pick the panelists? The panelists you just talked about were like A-list actors and directors, and so like Ice-T. But how do you pick your panelists? What is that process like?
Oh, well, I mean, what we're looking for is really just people who are willing to give their time and energy to help upcoming filmmakers and experienced filmmakers get advice. And that's really where it comes from. It's a really good-natured, good-hearted thing of these talented people willing to give back and give advice, to help people. And the other idea is that it's really an opportunity for people to learn in different ways. And so, everybody learns differently. So some people will benefit more from the panel discussions, where it's, a wide ranging of topics from all different great panelists. Some people might benefit from a smaller setting like the expert roundtables or the pitch competition, right? So the goal is to give different sources of advice for different people, the way they want to learn.
Awesome. Do we have Eric with us yet? Eric, can you hear us? Can you speak to us?
Speak, please.
He is on mute, so I don't know if he can see that, but we can see that. But we'll give it another minute. Eric, if you can hear us, you're on mute, and you can just unmute whenever and jump in. But can you, while we're waiting on that, David, talk to us a little bit more about the pitch competition, because that sounds really cool.
Oh, absolutely. It's really, really fun and exciting. So what it is each person gets 3 minutes to make their pitch. And then there's a total of 3 judges who will each give you feedback about it. And then what we've done is we've added a 4th vote, which is an audience vote. And so it's an opportunity for you to bring your friends and your family have them there to encourage you and watch you pitch, and then they can vote on your behalf and give you a greater likelihood of winning the prize. So it becomes a great opportunity to learn how to pitch, right? It's a little nerve-wracking if you haven't really done much public speaking, to get up and say what you want to say and do it all in 3 minutes, right? That becomes a challenge for a lot of people. And then hearing the feedback is invaluable, because you don't get that real honest feedback in the world in a safe space, where a lot of times you'll pitch producers or things, and they'll either not respond, or they'll blow you off, or they say, oh great, but we went another way. But that doesn't give you any feedback that's useful to taking the next step in learning and how to do it and how to improve. So that's the great thing about the pitch competition, is really win or lose, everybody comes out of it with something of value.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, David, if you when you say some are good, some are like on the spectrum of good and bad, what would you say are the pillars that make for a good and effective pitch?
Well, one is you have to use your time effectively.
Did we just lose David?
We just lost him. He just
so we just lost David. So I think Blake or Corbin might want to see if we can get him back. And I think Eric is still on mute. Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, David.
We're back.
You're on mute. You're on mute. So you might want to. Okay. All right. Cool. So if you want to start that answer over again, that'd be great. I don't know if you need Jade to re-ask the question, but.
Yeah. So you were asking about.
What are the pillars that kind of define what it, and you started talking about using time effectively.
Yeah. So you have to use your time effectively, right? That's the first thing, is the hardest thing for people, is how do I summarize my entire idea and life into 3 minutes? So, before you do it, I recommend practicing, in front of a mirror. So you see yourself and can practice and also see your body language. But time yourself to see if you can get it in under 3 minutes, and make sure you're hitting all the core things that you want to hit, which is, you want to grab them about the story initially, something unique or different that sets your project apart from everybody else. But then you also want to talk about some of the thoughts on development, what kind of budget you are anticipating, what kind of genre it is. If you have ideas in terms of cast, who would play certain parts, or other people on your team that you've already assembled, right? You want to pitch the whole, the creative side and the business side together. And that's really the key thing that we want to hear, because that makes us lean in and say, okay, I think this one's got a lot of potential. You could really use the $40,000. Here you go.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah. So, I'm sorry, I was just looking at my list of questions. So what advice can you give to up and coming filmmakers who are still trying to get their product known?
Well, I mean, the best thing that I recommend is, using social media is really the best thing, because it's a very low cost. It's accessible to everybody. And if you can create an audience, that becomes exciting for people. That's why people want to get involved. And so, for example, Independent Filmmaker Day, we've got over 600,000 followers on Facebook. So we are larger than every film festival in the world, except for Cannes and Sundance, and we're going after them too. But what it does is it gives us a venue for panelists to come on and join us, knowing that they not only are giving back, but they can also promote their projects, promote their films, and it becomes a great source for that. So that's how we've managed to stand ourselves apart from all the different film festivals and award shows and things like that. So you want to do the same thing with your project. Come up with a way to create a viral campaign that really sets yourself apart. And if you've got a lot of followers, now you're different from all the other projects that are trying to put their things together. The other great advice is to also look at opportunities to build up your team. It's very hard to do it alone. Every film or TV project really needs a quality team. And the most quality people you have around you, the better, more impression that you get when you present it.
Hello.
So you say,
Hi, guys.
oh, there
Eric. Hello, Eric.
How are you?
Good.
How are you?
Sarah, we have Jade here, and of course, you know David. But it's so good to have you on and to hear your voice. David was just talking about the power of social media and how important it is. But yes, welcome.
Thank you for having both me and David. Sorry it took me so long. I'm still way behind in the technology world, but I'm learning. So that's the most important thing, that I am learning.
No problem at all. No problem at all. David, I think we'll probably swing back a little more at some point to social media and just how powerful it is. But Eric, if you just want to take a second and introduce yourself, just kind of who you are, where you are, and just like a brief sentence or two about what you do.
So it's interesting. Back in 2019, I was involved with Artists United's Sundance Film Festival event on Main Street in Park City, Utah, and I was producing their party. And that's how I actually met David. He actually was one of the attendees. And David's an amazing gentleman, as we all know. And so David came up with the Independent Filmmaker Day, which is the event that we got involved with. And our first event we did was live in 2019 during the Toronto International Film Festival in Toronto, Canada. And we took it off from there. So I can go more into that, but I'm actually presently in New York, and my background, I've been producing and marketing film festivals, trade shows, entertainment events, parties at major film festivals, concerts. The list goes on from, I would say, 2005 till present, all over the U.S. And then with David, I've worked with him in Toronto as well as the U.K. So that's my background.
Awesome. Well, it's great to have you. I'll start with a quick question for you that we asked David earlier, but I'd love to get your answer. Working with multiple film festivals, how do you think this virtual Independent Filmmaker Day will go? And what do you think are the pros and cons to hosting it online?
Well, we have a great team that we all collaborate on with David's guidance. And I think because of once COVID hit, we started it, of course, online. And I think we all work really well together. We all do different jobs, of course. And so number one, I feel very positive that this will be a successful event. We have some amazing panelists and speakers and judges coming up in our March event. For me, the most important thing, and I think David would agree, is that our goal is really to educate, the up and coming, the next Spielbergs, the next Spike Lees, our audience, I would say, ranges from high school all the way to professional. And because we're getting some of the top entertainment professionals to give their education and their passion off to our audience members. Regards to COVID and in regards to online, it's definitely, for me, my background is raising money through sponsorship and advertising, and it has been a challenge, but I think it's getting better because as things are getting better within the country and internationally, it's getting a little easier. I mean, production is starting up again throughout the Hollywood system and kind of all over the world, as we see. And, we're excited, both me and David and the rest of our team, I know, are really excited to get back to the live event. But we have been pretty successful overall in our past, online events. And I think that for me, I like to be networking face-to-face. I think in general, face-to-face is probably the easiest and probably the funnest way to be at an event and be able to, talk with one another. But online for now is, the way it is. And so we have to kind of deal with that.
I mean, online is the way it's going right now. But yes, hopefully it won't be long before we can all network in person, because I think everyone misses that. So how has it grown each year in ways that you didn't expect?
Like I said, I think it's just that, as even with my background with the sponsorships and advertising, I think, people, they want to support independent film in general. And I think, independent film to me, and it always has been this way, is a big diversity, bringing people together of all types. And, there's more independent films that are made than motion pictures and Hollywood films in general. I also know that, with the independent film world, we cater to a higher income level audience, sort of like Broadway's audience. I've sort of compared it to like Broadway theater. And I think just with the caliber of the Oscar winner producers we've had, from like Bruce Cohen, who did American Beauty and Silver Lining Playbook and the movie Milk, to like David said, Graham King. I mean, this is, you can't get this information in a book. You can't go to a private or a public film school and get this information. I mean, this is like, this is the, I think one of the best ways of, being involved with our event as an attendee and an audience member. This knowledge is going to help filmmakers, no matter if they're hobbyists or professionals.
Absolutely. And Michael in the chat box just said it's amazing that producers are putting out films and series in a COVID environment. Are both of you surprised as how much content is coming out and is available for your film festival?
This is not a film festival. This is more of a conference. Call it, it's like a conference. Conference.
Yes, correct. Conference.
Go ahead, David. I'll let David.
Well, I was just going to say, for producers, money never sleeps, So even though, we're living in a COVID world, people are getting creative and they're trying to figure out ways how to put films together. I think Tyler Perry, had people like all sit in a bubble. Like he flew everyone down to Atlanta and had like a bubble atmosphere just so he can get people together to make a film. And, there are other different experiences like that. Another big thing has been a push into animation. That's been a big thing, right? Because you don't need people to be near each other to create those kind of experiences and opportunities. And we've got an amazing animator being on our panel come March 24th, a gentleman named James Paris, who is the our animation director for everything from who's involved in original Disney classics like Lion King and Mulan and Pocahontas. Then he worked on special effects type things on X-Men, Spider-Man, Transformers. Then he's now doing shows on Nickelodeon like Wally Kazam, and shows on Apple Plus like Doug Unplugged. And, he's got a wealth of experience in all these different genres about working with the streaming companies, how to work with companies large like Disney, other networks. And so that's really been a big focus on a lot of people to say, hey, if we can't have people in person, let's make them all animated, right? And that's another way to pivot and kind of think outside the box.
What are some other ways that people can or are thinking outside of the box and really getting creative that you've seen?
Well, I think go ahead, Eric.
David, go on this. Oh, okay, thank you. So are we talking about filmmaking? Are we talking about performing? Are we talking about?
I guess filmmaking is what I meant, but if you can answer with whatever.
Right now, I think people, in a way, COVID has made it easier for, say, screenwriters, right? Because they're home, so they can focus on writing. And, I think, regards to out of box, I think there's definitely been, people are definitely excited to get out in the real world again. But I think there's been, for this last year, there's probably so much creation that's going on around the globe that we don't know yet, and we're going to get hit hardcore with it. I think it's in a way, it's been a blessing in a way, kind of waking up to this situation. And I think, I know production is going to get better. I know, filmmaking and performers and actors are going to get back out there. And, my background is actually in the theater world. So I went from theater into film. And, I know a lot of people miss, the theater aspect of going to a theater, no matter if it's a film, like a movie theater or a stage theater. But yeah, I don't know if that answers what you're looking for.
Yeah. David, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is people are getting creative. So one of our panelists is Thomas Jane, who was originally in the HBO show Hung, and now he's on the show Expanse, which is on Amazon Prime, and he's been in over 50 films. And what he did over COVID is he made a special like web series with Anne Heche, and the two of them kind of monitored like their daily lives going through COVID, especially like during the outbreak, and they turned that into a show and a film that they're going to be showcasing at film festivals going forward. So a lot of people have the opportunity to get creative and to think outside the box on those kinds of ideas.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, we were all forced to stay inside, but I think it did spark some creativity for a lot of people, it's kind of interesting to watch. It's fun to see. So what would you say is the best, what would be the best way for guests to get the most out of your event?
First by knowing what what's the most important topic, so for example, we have different subjects with our panels, which are, again, and David would agree that, in general, filmmakers want the two most important topics in general are film financing, how you're going to raise money. Is it crowdfunding? Is it, throwing a gala and hoping you'll have 300 people show up, or is it using there's different ways, of course, to, raise money, but, really understanding that method and the right way to do it. I also think, we also have another panel on distribution. And then I think, my thing overall is no matter if you're a filmmaker or you're a performer, the goal is just to do it. And that means it doesn't matter what level somebody is on. And I think our event definitely offers, that motivation and that, that drive to actually, no matter, again, if you're a hobbyist or a professional, it definitely gives that, that atmosphere and the communication between our panelists and people working on our event to really help people. And that's why we do this.
Yeah, I mean, just to echo what Eric's saying, we're offering an all access pass for $195. So, which is almost 50% off the total price of everything. So it becomes really an amazing opportunity to take advantage of all the events that we're offering, which are panel discussions, expert roundtables, seminars, pitch competition, after party, all these great things. And one thing we're doing this year, which is unique and special, is we're offering during the panels, we're going to have a special panel on direct access speed dating round. Because some of the feedback that we got is, some of the things that filmmakers or people interested in entertainment are really looking for is that connection with a filmmaker, or the connection with a producer, or connection with a film finance person or a distributor, right? That they can't get out in the real world. They can't get a meeting with those people. Now's your chance to have that meeting.
I love
establish
that.
the relationship.
Yes, I love that. And I will say that works. So just going to voiceover conferences, I know they do the same thing with like speed date your demo reel or something, things like that. And so those speed dating type meetings and just different things at conferences, those are great because you are in front of the people that you really wouldn't have the chance to meet. And they're hearing your stuff, or you're seeing your content, and you're making those connections that lead to you don't even know what down the road. So I think that's a great idea. So people who buy the pass can tune into that, and they can tune into the pitch competition. But what's the after party?
You'll have to come to find out.
Oh, okay. That sounds like a lot of fun. Ooh, cool.
Yeah, it's a virtual after party, obviously, but it gets really fun because it's on the evening of March 25th, so it's immediately following the pitch competition. So it starts around 10 p.m. Eastern and lasts till about 11:30 Eastern. And it's a great way to network with all the people that you just heard pitch, all the people that you heard on the panels. and really a chance to network. And that's what, especially in COVID times, that's what people are really embracing these days, is just the chance to connect with people, because you can't attend these social functions anymore. So this becomes another way to really engage with the people you just had this great experience with.
People are craving it. They want to talk to people. They want to network. They want to talk about what they're doing. So I think that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would love to explore the social media conversation a little bit more as well, because I find that consumption is so heavy on social media, and distribution even on social media seems like an effective route to go a lot of the time with a lot of projects, especially short form content. So what are your thoughts in how much it's prioritized or looked at when something is being pitched as a whole, and what that following looks like?
Sure. Eric, do you want to go first?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think right now we're not, this is a good quote, we're not back, the 90s are over, the early 2000s are over, everything is done by social media. So, every company has Facebook to promote their products, or Instagram or LinkedIn or Twitter, or, this is, I think the future is that everything is going to be promoted this way from now. It's going to go even further. It's very important to have different platforms and to build followers, because that's going to drive more business to your product or your services or your film or your performance, whatever the case may be. And what was the second question?
Just
I think you did. That was a good question, by the way.
I'm sorry.
That was a great question, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, I think social media is just so, it's almost, it's you can't ignore the fact that it's such a driving force of content right now.
Correct.
And so just how heavy is it prioritized in terms of looking at following, and when something is pitched, when something's developing, looking at what is the following, what's the content?
Yeah, I guess. I think depending on the topic, I mean, just like look at the news and media, how much it's driven, right? I mean, again, it could be it depends on the genre and the subject, of course, but I think that, again, the goal is to create and build an audience that will follow your event or your, your speaker, in our field. And, I think it's positive. I mean, sometimes social media can be negative, but I think overall, if it's truthful, honest, and, it definitely, if it's, it relates to a subject that people are interested, you will build more followers, and you'll be able to be more successful in today's society.
Yeah, I mean, just to follow up on that, I think that I've been working with producers a long time, and there's always been a traditional way of marketing your film, right? They have advertisements on TV, they have billboards, ads in the newspaper. Well, guess what? None of that's happening anymore. People aren't driving. They're staying home. So they're not seeing billboards. People on TV don't want commercials. That's why they created DVRs. Newspaper, what's that? My daughter doesn't even know what a newspaper is, right?
How old is your daughter?
I've got a daughter who's 10 years old.
That's wild. Wow.
And ask her what a newspaper is. She has no clue, right? It doesn't exist. All her news is online, right? So, how do you take advantage of that? And the answer is it's social media. And the truth is, most producers and most Hollywood filmmakers have not really taken advantage of it because they don't really know how to use it. They treat it as a place where they just post every once in a while. They say, oh, we've got a Facebook page for the movie. Okay, that's great. And you post when the movie is coming out, and you post when it's on DVD, and that's about it. And guess what? No one's interested, because people don't want to be sold things. People don't want to feel like they're getting bombarded with ads, right? So the goal is to create viral content that can be shared, that you don't feel like people are asking you to pay every 2 seconds, right? That no one's interested in that. They want to get content that makes them feel something, that makes them think something, and then they'll share it with their friends. right? And that's creating the conversation and community that what we try to achieve at Independent Filmmaker Day is that sort of embodiment of what a community really is. It's a place, it's almost like a coffee shop, right? Where people can share ideas and enjoy each other's company. It's not a place where you feel like you're bombarded with sales and ads every day and people trying to sell you something. And so the goal is to provide advice and help and thoughtful articles, interesting video content. And that's what gets people excited. That's what gets people feeling an attachment and inclusion for the event. And people in the films that we work on and the films that we help promote, we aim to try to create that same environment.
Fantastic. We have a question from Doug Morris. Hi, Doug. Doug's with us, I think, every week, every time we have a webcast. So hi, Doug. Thanks for joining us. And this is for David or Eric. And he says, of course, it's only speculation on my part, but it seems like once people can return to theaters, there's enough pent-up demand for a resurgence in movie-going. What are your thoughts on this thinking? Thank you.
I like to say, for example, here in New York, theaters are starting to open up, but they're not full capacity. I think that will probably be the norm for a lot of theaters around the country. But again, you have some of the top theater chains possibly going bankrupt right now as well. So I don't think it's going to get back to the norm for at least another year. So I would say 2022 possibly. I think, I know film festivals are going to go live, but I've also heard that film festivals, again, that I've worked on are going to go half and half. That means they'll do virtual, online as well as do live. So the people that don't want to attend on a live atmosphere, they can still watch the films and get, be able to see all the films online as well. Because that's another benefit about online festivals. I was going to go back to that really fast, is that you do get to see more content on, a platform, so for example, Disney and Netflix and Amazon and the different platforms like that. But the film festivals have followed that platform. Sundance, their festival was very successful this year, and, that was all online. So.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is there's been a change in the law. So there was a law created back in like the 1930s and 40s in the quote unquote golden age of Hollywood, where Congress passed a law saying that studios could not own movie theaters because it monopolized the content that people would see, right? If the studios owned the movie theaters, you could only see their movies and no one else's. And that would prevent people from being able to see what other people were making. That rule just changed in the last year or so. No one really knows this, but Congress changed that law to now allow studios to own their own movie theaters. So what I think the future of movie-going experience is going to be is you're going to start seeing Netflix movie theaters or Amazon movie theaters or Disney Plus movie theaters, right? Because companies like AMC might be out of business. So who's going to replace it? And so you're going to have them creating these theaters, and what they're going to do most likely is realize that it's not just about seeing the movie, right? Because you could see the movie at home. It's about creating an interactive experience when you go to the theater. So you might see, at a Disney Plus theater, there's Mickey Mouse, standing there to greet you and signing autographs, or you might see a merry-go-round, or you might see rides, or things like that. The teacups like at Disney World, but they're at the movie theater. Right? That's how you're going to get your kids or other people to say, yeah, let's actually get up and go to the movie. It's worth the extra money now because it's part of an interactive experience. So we're going to see a lot of interesting things coming down the pike that, are very new and novel to the industry, but I think it's going to make it a better overall experience.
That's just so interesting. When you were talking about that, my brain was like, oh, wow. Like, what could these movie theaters look like in I don't know how many years, but like, that's just crazy. Like my mind just started drifting and thinking of like all the crazy things that movie theaters could become under new ownership. That's That's very cool.
The
That's
big
very
couch and it's Netflix and chill.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
Yes, yeah. Netflix and chill, like a lot of first dates probably happen there.
It's a little contradicting with the COVID thing.
Right. That's why a few years down the line, that may be what we see. But yes,
Right.
yes.
I mean, because you think about it, right? Have the movie theaters really changed in the last 50 years, right? They really haven't, other than they raised the price of the popcorn. But the actual setup and experience is basically the same. It hasn't changed, right? So now is an opportunity for people to really innovate and create a different experience, and they're going to need to get people off the couch.
Absolutely. Michael asks a question. Pop-up theaters were coming up a couple years ago. Do you see that trend?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a great idea. I live in here in Chicago, and they had a pop-up restaurant that was a Saved by the Bell restaurant. And for the people who, my age, who grew up on like shows like that, it was really fun. Like you go and you're sitting in the Max, and and people from the cast would like randomly show up and things like that. So you can imagine the same thing for a movie theater, right? Why not? There are all these empty retail spaces right now. So why not convert them into a pop-up movie theater? You might have, on a given night, you might have people from the cast showing up or the director showing up. And that makes it fun. That makes it interesting, right? Absolutely. I think it's a great idea. And I don't see why it couldn't work, but you have to market it. You have to know the right way to get the attention and the word out. That's going to be
social media.
You said it, Sarah.
All comes back to social media. Very cool. So we have our $50 B&H giveaway coming up in a few moments. But before that, I guess we can get one more question in. So let's see. What's the best way to stay in touch with you guys for future collaboration?
So my website is thevollweileragency.com, which is the new company I launched. So that's my spelled V as in Victor, OLLWEILER, and then the word agency.com. And my email is Eric at thevollweileragency.com.
Cool. What about you, David?
Eric, I typed your info into the chat box, and I'll do my.
Thank you.
So you can check us out at ifilmday.com. That's our website for Independent Filmmaker Day. My email address is drubenstein@rubensteinbusinesslaw.com. And then we would love to have everybody appear for our event and attend our event. And I'll post the link in the chat box as well. And what we're offering is a special discount code for anyone who's here. So if you use the discount code IFDEV10, you'll get 10% off any ticket that you purchase.
Awesome. Very cool. And I know I had another question. So if you buy a ticket and say you can't watch something for whatever reason, will the panels be taped that you can go back and rewatch later?
Yes. So what we do is we record everything, and then we have a library of information. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be rolling out a membership program where you can become a member of IFD for the month or year. And as part of that, you'll have access to all of our library of all of the panels and events that we filmed over the last 2 years. So don't feel bad if you missed Richard Dreyfuss talking about Jaws, or Graham King, who was the producer on Bohemian Rhapsody, talking about his experience with Queen and getting the film done. All of it will be available to any member.
Very cool. That's good to know, and that's great. Thank you very much for that. So right now we're going to take a moment to give away our $50 B&H gift card. Are you ready, guys? I'm going to ask my question. So you know what to do. If you've been here before, you know what to do. Go to the Shoot Stop Video website. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to get there. The Shoot Stop Video website. You know where it is. Okay, but my question, and David and Eric, I'm sorry, you can't play along. So you just got to listen. You can't win. What video displays first in the portfolio section? So what video displays first in the portfolio section? Type your answer in the chat box or in the Q&A box. Oh, and Blake put us the website in there. All right. Do we have a winner? I think I see who won, but one time I called out the wrong answer, so I am not going to call out any winners. I'm going to wait until Corbin or Blake gives me the answer. Doug got it. Okay, so Doug got it. Thank you, Blake. Congratulations, Doug. I think this might be the first time you've won, so congratulations on your B&H gift card. A great place to win a gift card. Everyone loves B&H. Yay, Doug. First time is right. All right, that's awesome. Yay, that was quick, too. We're getting good with the B&H giveaway. Cool. Well, thank you, David and Eric. And before we go, one question that I like to personally ask everybody is, what's a piece of advice that you've received, whether it's early on in your career or just kind of throughout your career, that has really helped you that you would pass along to somebody else? David, you can go first. Or Eric, you seemed like you were ready to answer, so you can go ahead.
No, let David go first.
Okay.
I'll go out.
Okay.
A piece of advice. Well, I think the key thing for me was that for filmmaking is to treat it like a business. That's the most important thing. Even though it is an art and a passion and all these things, if you really want to be successful at it, you have to treat it like a business. You have to treat it like you're going to work at 9 a.m. and you're finishing at 5 p.m. and you're, setting up meetings and, using your resources, your time, your money, keeping appointments when people say, call me or this, or you make a commitment to call them, actually fulfill it. Actually, showing up is half that battle. So, it's very important that if you treat it like a business, you plan it out, you make a budget, you make plans for yourself, realistic goals for yourself, you have a much better chance of success.
That's great advice. That B word, I don't love that word, budget, but I know we have to do it. What about you, Eric?
I have a couple things, but I would say the number one thing is if you're going to be a filmmaker, or again, because my background was in acting as well, don't do it because of fame or money. Do it because you want to succeed, and you do it for love and passion. So I would also say that as for a filmmaker, go out and just make it. And what that means is, no matter how good or bad it is, the fact is that the goal is just to accomplish it on that level. And, whatever it takes, just do it. Your first, no matter if you're doing a short or a feature, because at the end of the day, everything's about learning, and it will definitely get you to the next step. And I think my last thing would be is that there are definitely people like myself that I would, please contact me. My goal is, I believe in helping people, and I believe in this industry. Like, for example, with our event, our goal is definitely to help and really get, like I said, we want to make people grow, learn, and, be successful with what their hobbies or careers are. So I would say that's it.
Awesome. No, you guys, you can tell you're definitely all about helping people. And I think that's wonderful because that's what you need in this industry.
Right.
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah. Do we have time for one more?
Absolutely.
Okay. I'm curious also on a personal level, like how both of you got started in what you do.
Do you want to go first, David? Because mine will take a while.
Go ahead.
All right. All right. Well, my background actually was, so I graduated, I went to school in upstate New York, and I said to myself, I'm going to move to Manhattan at right out of high school back in the 90s. And so I wanted to be an actor and a model. So I moved to Manhattan. And from being in upstate New York, Manhattan's definitely a little different. And we're talking about way upstate. So I get to Manhattan, and I realized that I found out that the club scene, the New York club scene actually took over everything, and I learned what a club promoter did. So that got me into basically promoting nightclubs in Manhattan back, from that I went into theater, and what I learned from the New York club scenes when I started community college in upstate New York, I was able to sell out theater, like sell out plays from my experience from the clubs. From theater, I did a lot of internships, and that's what I'm trying to say. And it doesn't matter how old you are to do an internship, because really it's getting you further. I did about 12 to 13 different internships, from PR and marketing and theater to casting to, and then the list goes on. But so I guess what I'm trying to say is, I got involved with film festivals and entertainment events in Los Angeles after I finished my internship at a movie studio in casting. And from there, I've been doing it for the last, going on almost 17 years of producing and marketing of film festivals and events. And but I would say it's all about learning from everyone on all different aspects. It's sort of like the producer. A producer starts out as a PA and works his way up. Sort of that kind of, that's the sort of passion following. So,
Doug?
Interesting.
I hope that there's a lot more. I mean, you can it goes on and on and on. But go ahead, David.
Or David, sorry, I don't know why I said Doug. Because I just saw his name. He won.
Yeah. So, my experience is that I went to college at Tufts University in Boston, then went to law school at University of Miami in Florida, then went back to New Jersey and worked as an attorney for about 15 years, and was focused primarily in business law, representing companies involved in different levels of litigation and corporate law. And I started my own law firm about 8 years ago. And along the way, I met a partner who specialized in entertainment law, and I brought him into my firm. And the idea was to work together for a few years, have him kind of show me the ropes, and then he would kind of, go off into the sunset as kind of like a mentor-mentee relationship. And that was very successful. It worked really well. And that opened my eyes to all of the great entertainment experiences there were, because each film or each TV project is essentially its own business, and it has to be operated that way. It has to have a budget. Sorry, Sarah. It's got to have, a team in place. It's got to have insurance. It's got to have funding. It's got to have people operating agreements, contracts, people understanding who's the decision maker, how you make decisions. And so my experience kind of led into that. And then once I got involved in the filmmaking, it got to be exciting to get involved in adding value to help produce films and raise money for films and contribute in other ways that I could help make sure that they make a profit in their film, so then they can go ahead and make their second film. Right. And that's the goal. So that became my experience. And when we run Independent Filmmaker Day, that's the same goal. We're trying to add value wherever we can, trying to make it as successful as possible for you to help you realize your dreams.
Wonderful. You both have great backstories, and I know it's hard to sum it all up into 30 seconds, but I know it took a lot of hard work and internships to get where you are today.
Yes.
Thank you.
For sure. Thank you very much. And again, thank you for having us. And you guys are actually one of our supporters of the event, so we're really excited about that.
Oh, of course. And I'm sure everyone who's tuning in right now will be part of the event. And they haven't purchased their tickets already. We'll be doing so soon with the discount code that we put it in the box, I believe, right? Did we put the
yes.
Okay, perfect. So
I put it in the box.
You didn't see that? All right.
IFDEV 10, the number
Perfect.
10.
So make sure you get that when you get your tickets. And yes, thank you, David and Eric, for joining us today. And Jade, my co-host for today. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having us.
Of course.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Jade, by the way, and I forgot to do this, if you want to just kind of say your website or your socials before we sign off too.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I'm a actress producer. I am a founder of a nonprofit organization that uses art for social and environmental activism. And my website is jadezaroff.com. The nonprofit is entertainmentforchange.com.
Wonderful.
Oh, very cool.
Awesome. And I'm Sarah Marintz. You can find my voiceover stuff and contact info at sarahmarintz.com and on Instagram at Sarah Marintz. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
It's
a pleasure.
You might be looking at Shoot Stop Video and thinking, so how does this all work? Is this about A, setting up the whole crew for me? B, just giving me options and having me handle it? Or C, something in between? Well, it's D, all of the above. To put it simply, we're here to help you in any way that we can to get the crew and talent you need for your next production. We believe that every level of video production can benefit from a well-maintained list of qualified crew members for every position. This goes for pre-pro, on-set, and for post. Every project is different, so if you need a producer to help manage the decision-making process, then we can totally do that. If you're already a producer and want to build your own crew from scratch, then go for it. We're here to make your next production a success. And if you are crew or talent looking for producers that want you, then you've come to the right place. Sign up now, and also leave a referral for any solid people that you know that are already on here. Thank you for considering Shoot Stop Video, and happy shooting.